these are some of my audience members. There's Evan, Missy, and Connor, and then my mom is going to be recording, and then this is my speaking outline. Have you ever wondered why developmental psychology is so important? Because it teaches us how the children will grow and develop from their whole life. The process begins when you're very little, but today we're going to talk about the processes from early elementary school through middle school, through the prime developmental stages. At the ages of 5 and 6, so kindergarten and first grade, those are some of the prime developmental ages because you're going from a daycare setting to an actual classroom setting. Children are beginning to learn and actually start to process things in their brains and starting to grow in a setting with other kids their own ages. According to the National Library of Medicine, the early stages of development begin by learning from their surroundings, such as parents, siblings, in a classroom setting. This is prime for that age group because they're learning from their different settings. The ages of 7 and 8, so second and third graders, third graders, as you can see in the picture of the second graders, they're starting to learn a little bit more and doing more work as far as writing and heavier classwork. That's because they will begin to, in third grade, start doing more class participation on harder subjects because they're starting to develop a little bit more thinking abilities and starting to learn more complex subjects, which is important because they need that to survive. According to the Children's Hospital website, children can develop learning disorders at any age. That is important in this area because they'll start learning heavier topics, which will show more of the learning disabilities, and they'll become more prominent in this age group. Next, we're going to talk about 4th and 5th graders. This is a 4th grade student working on writing, and this is some 5th grade students working on a group project, taking a silly picture. 4th and 5th grade is important because they're at the end of elementary school age. So they're starting to go into the pubescent era of their developmental stages, which means they're starting to learn more cognitive thinking and more complex thinking. And that's just the beginning of that, and it'll continue on through high school and so on. In those areas, they'll learn how to process these complex topics and how to correctly place them in their brain in order. And this age is where puberty begins in most children, and that's important for this area because it'll help with their development and growth. Lastly, we're going to talk about the middle school age children. This is a group of 6th graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders. You can tell between the difference in the pictures that they start to grow. From 6th grade, they're still in that pubescent era beginning and the prepubescent era. And that's important to note because they're still trying to grow and body is growing, which is caused by the development. And they're just kind of in their awkward phase. 7th graders, they're still in that pubescent stage, but they're going slightly out of it. So they're growing a little bit more. They're trying to figure out what they are, what they think, how they think, and all of that. And then in 8th grade, they're starting to exit that pubescent stage, which means that they are starting to figure out what they want, where they are, how they think, and all of that even more to be prepared for going into high school and becoming a teenager. According to the Cengage textbook for human development, ages 13 to 15 are prime developmental ages as far as growth and brain development. So that means that between the ages of 13 and 15, that's where most of the developmental changes will happen as far as brain development, physical development, psychological development for students as they're growing. Developmental psychology is very important to know about because it explains the processes of how people will grow and develop throughout school and throughout their life. And the early stages of psychological development are important to set up the process for the rest of your life and development. I thought it would be weird learning about the stages of life in the beginning, but I ended up loving it because it showed me how people of all ages learn and how they grow, and it puts perspective into all human beings. And then my audience members, there's Mom, and then there's Evan, Missy, and Connor. Thank you.